Welcome, low ego action heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from DeltaCX.com, and we're a full service CX and UX consultancy, and we're available. So if there's something we can do for you, check out our website. I haven't finished redoing it yet, so check out our old website. And welcome to the second episode of the Think Out Loud series, the UX Think Out Loud series. I10 is now putting up helicopters as her emoji. Did you send her the helicopter picture? You forgot. Okay, send it to her on Slack. So welcome. This is the second in a new series, and basically what I'm going to be doing is real or realistic UX work, completely live, thinking out loud, explaining my process and decisions, and taking comments and questions live from you. So if you want to learn more about UX, this is the place, because hashtag can your UX instructor do that? Boom. So very quickly, let's also thank some of the people who are donating financially to the channel. We've got junior, mid-level, and senior low ego action heroes here. Thanks to all of them. Especially thanks to Anita, Chang, Darren, ICANN, whoever that is, Irena, Jordan, Michelle, Nikki, Ralitza, Ray, Solomon, and Mix Betty. So thanks to the people financially supporting the channel, which is totally optional, but always appreciated. Hey, Sirocco, good morning. Good evening from here in Italy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and show you what we started last week, because today is a continuation of last week's adventure. So you should see my Axure, hashtag not sponsored. You should see the chat room. You should see me, and of course the tip jar, which is for super chats and super stickers. So basically, someone sent an idea, and I feel like it was a challenge I've seen before, where basically teams aren't completing their work in time. Senior management wants to know what people are spending time on. Some people are claiming they don't want to do hourly billing, and some people are on different projects. Now, if you missed episode 1, you're going to want to watch that, because we set all of this up. We worked on some of these assumptions. And quick side note, this is new. Someone sent in another challenge, but to me, it's kind of a part 2 of this challenge. So we're setting ourselves up for a long series here. This one said, delivery leads were introduced to a new product that displays dashboards of teams' performance, but they want to set up their own preferred dashboards, and the process is confusing. They need to report on team performance, blah, blah, blah. So you can see how this is kind of a continuation of the other one. So to the person who sent that in, thank you. I think what we'll do is we'll design the first thing first, and then we'll design the second thing as if it is a phase 2 of the same project, because again, the idea is to try to do projects somewhat realistically. We should also be live on Twitter, by the way, so you can tweet your questions at me. All right, so let's take a look. So when last we left off, we had thought about, let's open up some of our Axure pages here. We had thought about a fake research plan. So if we were going to research this before we designed it, or if we had a research person, we don't have to be the researcher, what are some of the goals? Who would we be researching with? What methods would we use? What would we create after the research were done? And how long do we think this would take? And what might we charge a client, or what might this cost internal to the company? And we did that. So again, watch episode 1 if you want to see that. These are all in the UX Think Out Loud playlist here on the Delta CX channel. Remember, you can subscribe here on the Delta CX YouTube channel. Give it a thumbs up and write some comments after the stream. Those really help with the algorithm. And of course, tell a friend. Tell a friend. This is the best way to learn UX. Then we talked about user flows, but we decided that we weren't going to do user flows, because even though we have 3 audiences who will need to use this system and different interfaces for each of them, there really wasn't a giant workflow here. So back on the project details, we basically decided that One audience is kind of like project managers. They need to come into the system, make sure projects are in the system, and put in time estimates for their team or teams. The second group would be the people on the teams, the actual workers who are going to need to report their time. So they're going to come in and they're going to have a slightly different interface because they're not really creating projects or putting in estimates. They are just tracking their own time. And we agreed that they were going to have to track this time by project because some people might have spent half their week on project 1 and half their week on project 2. We need to accurately capture that so that there can be dashboards and things later that will compare estimated to actual time. And then we have that third target audience who in the old version we said were senior management, but in this new version it could be delivery leads, somebody who needs to go in and see, it could even be our project managers, see what the heck is going on here, maybe some dashboards or graphs, some actionable visualizations that let us know are our teams close to their estimates? Are they above them? Are they below them? And things like that. So that is the course that this project will take. That's the 5-minute update for those of you who are just joining for the first time. If you're watching live, we try to treat this as a conversation. So as I do work, if you have questions, please ask. I am monitoring the chat room. I am also having a nice cup of decaf coffee. Not sponsored by Decaf Coffee. And so let's do it. So again, we talked about how normally we would do user flows or there would be artifacts from research, but we don't have that. Because this is a typical design challenge problem, we've got ideas without much context and ideas without research, which is not the right way to approach a CX or UX project, but for the purposes of this series, we're going for it. We've got some assumptions that we're going to work with, and where I need an assumption, I'm going to ask you in the live audience to come up with something so you can see this truly is improvised, and I didn't work on this ahead of time. So we talked about how the user flow is basically going to be log in, find a project, enter your logged time. That assumes that the project manager, Sirocco says, Italy has decaf coffee. Scandalous. Everywhere has decaf coffee. Not everyone drinks it, but many people should. Yum, yum. I've been decaf my whole life. I'm actually allergic to caffeine. I am naturally like this. So this, of course, would hypothetically be the user flow for the worker bee. Remember, we've got our 3 audiences here, which means we're building 3 slightly different interfaces. So let's build something. Let's imagine, here we go, we've got a blank interaction design page. Now, I'm not going to bother with things like website header and website footer because that's just going to match whatever your company is doing inside their portal, their SharePoint. It doesn't make sense for me to try to design that and come up with a fake navigation. We're just going to go for the body of the page. Aitan says, speaking of coffee, I heard Italians call American coffee mud water. Pier Mario? I guess he's got his noise-canceling headphones on. Now we'll never know. All right, so how do I approach this design? So first of all, I look at my user flow and I think about what do people have to do in what order. Now, we should have already figured that out with our user flows, even if they're this simple. So if you are a worker bee at a company and you have to log your time, you might first have to log in. Now, if this is maybe part of the SharePoint portal, then maybe you're already logged in. Then you just have to find wherever in this portal is where people log time, or maybe it's an outside tool. I'm not going to get into those weeds, but let's think about the order. So let's assume people are logged in, because let's face it, login is the most common paradigm on the interwebs. I don't have to put what's your username, what's your password, forgot password, forget it. You've all seen it a million times. We don't have to do it. Let's talk about these other things. You're the worker bee. You need to find a project from a database of projects. You need to enter your log time. Now, remember, my approach is not just to do the UX architecture and design of this, but I'm imagining that I'm trying to prepare an Axure prototype, not sponsored, that is so realistic that it would be ready for usability testing. So you're going to see me build some things that are a little bit above and beyond just wireframing or sketching ideas. So let's start with the idea that people are going to need to find a project. Now, I pre-built some components for myself, but I didn't exactly build the component I need. I built a drop list, but that is just a boring old drop list. And I built, so these are some things that I built ahead of time in case I wanted some buttons and whatever. But let's face it, what I'm trying to build right now isn't here. So you might say, well, what are you trying to build, Deb? So I imagine that if people are searching for a particular project so they can enter their time, they need some sort of thing that they can type into. Now, this is my little text field here. I can copy that and bring that over to the interaction design page. And we can say something. Now, remember, I am not necessarily your content strategist. So there might be someone else who comes in and saves the day with some better content. Remember, I am not going to do pixel perfect design. I am more likely to do rough, medium fidelity stuff. Solomon says that assumes that the employee knows what the project is called in the system. Right. So we talked last week about how we're going to let people search by project name, project number, on the assumption that the employee knows some piece of this. So for example, if you happen to have a project that's called upgrade shopping cart, you could know the word upgrade, you could know the word shopping, you could know the word cart. The system is going to let you search any sub piece of this. So let's imagine that we say, find your project. And this is a typable field that I just pre-made. And it's not going to be masked so people can see it. Let's check in Axure that it's not masked. How do I know that? Input type is text. If it were password, you would see dots as if they were writing a password. So this should just say, find your project. And again, this is not pixel perfect. It's going to start out a little bit sloppy because I don't sketch first. I just go right into Axure and I start playing with ideas. So the idea is where people are going to find their project. They're then going to select their project. And then they're going to have to put in their time. Now, I would imagine that the company is going to allow them to put in time for a week. Now, they might put in time for a day and save that and come back tomorrow. Or they might put in time at the end of the week for the whole week. Let's imagine that. Larry says, how about listing recent projects at the top off of a list, since we're more likely to work on the same projects repeatedly until the next one starts? Absolutely. Larry's already in his knowledge design mode, and he's saying, and Solomon is saying, what if they don't know the name of the project? So we would want to make sure that we have some recent, so we might say, let's just do a little copy paste here. And again, this is not pixel perfect. There's parts of this that are going to be ugly for comedy's sake. So we might say your recent projects. And then we might just have a couple of projects here that are ready to go that people can choose from. I'm just going to use right now a simple text list, but hypothetically, this could be, depending upon how many we put, this could be a drop list, it could be buttons. We'll make a decision about that later. For now, I'm just trying to get some of the early ideas on the page, and then later, we're going to improve upon them. This is our first pass. This is not the end. So we might say you're on project 1, 2, 3, the Larry update project. We might say you're on project 2, 3, 4, the I-10 helicopter project. And we might say you're on project 3, 4, 5, the Solomon, I don't want to spell your name wrong, Solomon, there you go, worker bee project. And hypothetically, these of course would be linked. I can mock that up really quickly in Axure. I think I made a text link. Did I make a text link style? Does anybody see text link here? Link button. Well, it's centered. That's a little ugly, but here we go. Linked text. And again, this could be prettier. I'll worry about that later. Right now, I'm just trying to get some ideas out of my head, have the conversation with you in the chat room, and see where we can go with this. Now, another way we could do this, and something that I might do on the second pass, is I might combine these two ideas. I might say, find your project, but create a drop list where when it drops down, your recent projects are right at the top. And so they're right there for you. So I might combine these ideas later, but for now, I'm just trying to get the ideas out. The next thing people would have to do would be to log their time. So there might be something here. And again, I'm just dropping things in a little bit on the random side, knowing that I'll clean this up later. So it might say log your time. And now there would probably be a date range for this. So for starters, we might show them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Because again, people might fill in time for the whole week at the end of the week, or they might want to fill it in day by day. It probably depends on the relationship with their project manager. Am I really hearing thunder? Is this going to happen again? Oh my God, it's a thunderstorm again. So y'all, our stream last week totally died randomly when a thunderstorm passed over and my internet went out. I am not on my backup internet right now. So if the internet goes out, this stream will end and we'll continue this again. I apologize in advance. If the power goes out, there is nothing I can do right now because I am on the regular internet. So we'll do what we can, and I'll come back if we need to. So log your time. So the idea is we might have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And again, I am just going to make this the fast version of this. I can't believe there's thunder outside. And again, this is really ugly and not pixel perfect. It's all over the place. But I'm just going to go for it for now. That font is huge. I've completely overdone that. Hold on. How about that one? That looks pretty good. So let's just make some things. Now, Axure does have tables, but I usually don't use them because I prefer to build things by hand and have more fine control over it. So this would be Monday, Tuesday. Now, each one of these is going to have an input field. And so I'm going to come down here and drag this over here so that people understand that they can type something into this box. And let's pull it up a little bit so it's a little bit closer to the word Monday, and that way there's that good relationship. Remember, sometimes if you put elements too far from each other, people don't understand that they go together. There can be misunderstandings there. Study your Gestalt principles. Hi, Charlene. So let's imagine that this says Monday, and let's imagine that by default, we can put in a number if we want. Now, hopefully our research told us, do people tend to just put numbers in by default? You might say everybody's just putting in 88888. So the question, that's another thing that we might do later, which is give me 8s all week. There could be a simple button here. Instead of having to go 8 tab, 8 tab, 8 tab, we could make a simple button that says give me 8s all week because I worked 8 hours every day for my work week. Larry says, do users think of time as spent from time X to time, or that it was 75 minutes? Good question, Larry, and thanks for the dramatic thunder in the background. This was, again, we were imagining that this is the kind of thing we would have learned during research. So if this, remember, this is a design challenge or a fake design project, and we did not do research before this. So we could add that to our fake research plan. We talked about, we wanted to learn if people tended to log their time daily, weekly, or some other way. And I think we could add to that what Larry is saying, which is, do users think of time as X minutes or as X o'clock to Y o'clock? So let's throw that in there as something we would have wanted to learn in research. Because here, when we're building our designs, this assumes that I'm just putting in hours. But Larry's right. What if people would rather say, I worked 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., or that day I had an appointment in the morning, I worked 10:30 to 6. And that also goes back to, does that matter? Does this company for this fake project require to know exactly which hours on which days people worked? Now, the original fake project said mostly that the business pain point was that people are not the hours people are working are over what's being estimated for these projects. So I'm guessing, and of course this is just an assumption that we would have to work on in research, is that it's more important to just track the number of hours for the project rather than worrying exactly what times people worked. So again, that's just an assumption we're working under because this is a fake project. So I'm going to start combining some of these ideas, because what I'm starting to think of, so again, you want to hear me think out loud. What I'm starting to realize is we had another requirement on this fake project, which is some people are working on multiple projects. And so they have to be able to say, I spent 3 hours on Monday doing this, and I spent 2 hours on Monday doing this, and I spent 2 hours on Monday on this other thing. So instead of having this more one-to-one relationship where it's find your project and put in the hours over here, we should really have the project be on a line as a table row in a sense, so that I can say, here's my project, and then here's how much I worked on it. So Madalena says, we didn't care about the hours people worked as in night or day, but the number of hours pertaining to a particular project. Right, you see it right here in the chat. That's what we agreed upon last time. So I'm going to start kind of combining these ideas a little bit, because I'm realizing it's not just a fill this out. This would be an okay user experience if you had to pick your project, put in the hours, save that. Pick a different project, put in the hours, save that. That's passable, but that feels like Microsoft Access from 1997. Let's do better. How can we make this more streamlined for people? So again, you can see I'm already iterating on some of my ideas. I just started putting some of the base things on the page, and then I said, wait a minute, I think there's a better way to do this, because people will want to say, Project X, these hours. Project Y, these hours. Project Z, these hours. Submit. Larry says, I hadn't thought about the actual times people worked as a trackable input, other than it's easier sometimes to say, I know I worked from 10:30 to 12:15 rather than to do the math itself. So Larry, on that note, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab, let's see, did I make a component? Oh, I thought about it and then I didn't do it. I was going to make a segmented controller. So because I don't have a segmented controller, let's just grab a radio button really quickly just to remind myself later that I might want a segmented controller. And let's give people two choices. Let's say they can enter by total hours, or we'll say they can enter by times worked. Now you might say, hey Deb, your copy is terrible. This text is bad. Remember, this is just my first pass at this, and I'm just trying to make a note to myself that I'm going to create some sort of toggle, probably a segmented controller, that says, I want to enter the hours, or you know what, I want to enter the times that I worked. Like Larry said, I might want to enter 10:30 to 12:15. You figure out how many hours that is. I don't want to think about it, whereas other people will want to put in the number. So we are just accommodating different use cases, different mental models, different styles, and of course some of that cognitive load of 12:15 minus 10:30. What is that? And then, oh, it's how many minutes, how many hours, blah. Madalena says, on Larry's note, one massive pain I had was that the timesheet system rounded up hours. So 45 minutes was always going to be displayed as 1 hour billed across the project. That was annoying. Yeah, we're going to assume for this project, and it's an assumption, that the hours we put in are going to be to the minute and not rounded in any way. Vicky says Axure RP or Adobe XD, which one is best for prototypes? And Larry says we tried both, found XD is better for submitting to developers. Axure is better for creating interactive prototypes. Actually, I have found something different. I use Axure for everything, and in general, developers have loved my Axure prototypes because by the time we're done with this, you'll see that it's highly realistic, much more realistic than you can make in XD, Figma, and Sketch. So that means not only is it ready for realistic usability testing, but it's ready to show to developers as a very realistic model of what this is going to be. So for me, I am all Axure, and to me, there is no reason to build this twice in two different tools. Axure, 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 hashtag not sponsored. I am paying them. Though I am an Axure trainer, so if you'd like to join my December or January course, follow deltacx.com/links if you're listening to this before December or January. Larry says, oh, I agree. I was trying to be impartial. We're not impartial on this show, Larry. We're just not sponsored. No one's paid us to say these things, but we are partial. Elton says, login only hours doesn't say much was my point. Oh, sorry, Elton, I didn't see your previous thing. My assumption is companies know what project you're working with, but they don't know what you did on that day. Yeah, Elton's got another good point, which is maybe you can only bill to the projects you're assigned to. Maybe we shouldn't let people search for every project in the known universe, because why are you billing to a project you're not officially assigned to? So fantastic. We'll kill the idea of having to find your project. We'll go back to the idea of putting the projects over here. So let's grab these fluffy friends, and we'll imagine that's thunder. I really hope if I disappear, y'all, it's because my power went out, but let's all hope. So let's imagine that we've got project 1, 2, 3, the Larry update, project 2, 3, 4, the helicopter project, and then these are totally fake, so just play along with me. Here we go. You know what? I'm gonna save this. Let's make one line across that we really like, and then I can copy and paste it. Yum, yum. So let's say that we've got the Larry project. Let's slide it over here a little bit. There we go. Vicky says, I'm using Axure the past 2 years, and as you said, it's a top-notch tool for high-fidelity prototypes. People are still fond of XD. Yeah, only because it's easier to learn, but in my opinion, it's not better. And how do you usability test something that isn't a realistic experience? Now, again, notice I'm not working in a grid. This isn't pretty. We're just going to build this, and we'll make it better later. Now, you might say, Deb, I don't like your input fields. I don't like that your input fields are just lines. I think input fields should be boxes. And I say, that's fine. Luckily in Axure, I can quickly fix that by going to the text field thing, and I can say, fine, our text fields will have lines on all sides and not just the bottom. And if you like curvy things, we can give them a corner radius. I forgot what I gave my other buttons. We can fix it later. So there you go. Now we have little boxes for each of these. And let's see. Vicky says, does Adobe have logical statements like Axure? I don't think so. Solomon says, I was writing that comment. The system could be set up to know what artifacts you're working on, but what about non-computer activities such as field observations? Larry, usually at a company, everything that you're doing is billed to one project or another. So typically, even if you're doing field observations, it might be billed to project 2, 3, 4. We went out and observed people using the helicopter. That bills to that project. So we're going to assume that everything people are doing bills to a project, and that people have been correctly assigned to projects in the system. Obviously, these are assumptions we're working from. We might have to document this for our developer buddies and our product managers, but there you go. So let's drop a couple of more on these. Now, another thing is sometimes people say, you know, hey, we don't work on weekends. Don't put Saturday and Sunday on these. Again, that really depends on what's happening at your company. There are some companies where they say we don't work on Saturday and Sunday, but then someone does. Or sometimes some of your employees don't work on weekends, but you have some contractors who do. So typically, I have found, at least in many of the timekeeping systems that I have used over the years, that they do show weekends. And then if you didn't work the weekend, you just don't fill it out. Obviously, these are not lined up very nice. You know, I can go in here and I can align these better. But again, I'm not agonizing over pixels right now. My first pass is more conceptual. My first pass is how am I doing bringing to life something that's going to match user needs primarily and business goals secondarily. So here we go. Obviously, these are not lined up. The visual designers are cringing. You know, stick with me, everybody. Bye, Larry. Thanks a lot. See you soon. Charlene says, in some places there are certain teams, like the tech team, which have core hours, and they need to be there during those. If they don't work at those core hours, they don't get paid. Yeah, so hypothetically, there's usually, again, this is an assumption, when I've worked at such companies, when I had work that I couldn't build to a particular project, there was some sort of pseudo project in the system that I did build to, like I build to 000, you know, internal work. So let's just assume that. And again, we'll pretty this up later. For now, I'm just trying to get some ideas out of my head. Let's fix the visual hierarchy a little bit. And that's giant. Why did I do that? This maybe would move over here. Okay, so imagine we might have one of these lines for each of your projects. So let's imagine the system knows that you are working on a couple of projects right now. You've got the Larry update. You've got the I-10 helicopter project, etc. Always press save a lot, everybody. Save, save, save. When you see my cursor go circles, I am pressing save. Now, in this case, we're imagining that they are just going to enter their total hours. And remember, we're looking at total hours or times worked. Now, in Axure, to make radio buttons function, I have to select both of them. I have to assign them to a group. So we'll call this time entry style. And I have to say which one I want selected by default. So we'll pretend that total hours is selected by default. I will also imagine that, and this is, again, some of this is Axure stuff, y'all, but I'm trying to make this realistic. I will imagine that when the page loads up, I want people's cursor to be here in Monday. No reason to load up a page and make people have to click in the thing they want. Let's see if we can help them a little bit, save them a click, especially people working with tab key. Put their cursor in the whatever's the first open box. And for now, that first open field is Monday. Now, how do we do that? In Axure, I've got to give this thing a name. So let's call this Project 1 Monday. This is a text input, so I like to call those input. And I basically say, hey, Axure, oh, sorry, I don't like to build my stuff that way. I say, hey, Axure, when the page loads, I need you to focus the cursor. So where's focus? They keep moving these things. It makes me crazy. Focus the cursor on the Project 1 Monday input. And again, this is just bringing a little bit of realism. Oop, hi. I lost my screen there. Hi, everybody. Okay. This is just bringing a little bit of realism so that if I click preview, we should see, and where's my window? I had a window. Oh, here it is. There's my window for this. There we go. Refresh. Interaction design. Here we go. Now, I already created styles previously where I said when the cursor is in a field, it is yellow. And that way, people who are tabbing through things will easily be able to see where they are. That is that focus state, and Axure has focus states. So not only does that bring some realistic elements to it, it would hypothetically be good for accessibility. Yeah, Remus says, that's a serious streaming deck. Yeah, thank you. That's vMix, hashtag not sponsored, but I love vMix. It's Windows only, y'all. So hypothetically, I could say I worked 8 hours here. Now, I just pressed the tab key, and it was a little funky. It didn't go to the right place, but I am able to tab through it, which is nice. But that's something we could always fix later when we're making this prototype more realistic before we take it to usability testing. Right now, I won't worry too much about if my cursor is here and I click tab, where did it go? I don't know where it went. It seems to have disappeared. Nothing is selected, so something went wacky. And eventually, I'll be able to say, enter by times worked, and then all of these will have double boxes where you can say start, end, start, end, start, end. Now, that's a little bit flawed too, because remember, your day might have more than one start or end. You might have worked on Monday 10:30 to 12:15, then you took a lunch break and you worked 1 to 3. That means when we do enter by times worked, we're going to have to give people a way to enter multiple times for each day. That's just adding complexity. Iton says, I'm not a designer, but watching you now working on Axure, I want to buy it and play around. Well, you do get a 30-day free trial, so you don't have to pay for it just yet. Okay, so we've got the projects we're associated with, and we've got some of the functionality. I think another good thing that I have seen from timekeeping systems, now again, here I'm working off my past experience with timekeeping systems. I'm not necessarily working off the research. So we have to imagine we did research, and we have to imagine we learned things and that those things are influencing me. But since this is a fake project and we didn't do research, I'm just going to think about some of the things I've seen in timekeeping systems that, hey, kind of made sense. And one was, it would total up your hours as you entered in numbers during across this board. So I could drag out a, first of all, we could also make a little header here, and we could say, we could call this week total. And again, I'm not trying to say this is great UX writing. It is what it is. But we could have Axure total up these numbers for us. So let's imagine that I come over here and I put this over here, and let's imagine this is going to be centered. And for starters, this is going to say 0. Now, one of the other neat things about Axure is that it can total up stuff. It can do real math. Now, again, do I really have to do real math right now? No, I could always tell developers, hey, look, as people put in these numbers, this total is going to update. But if I'm going to usability test this and I want it to behave realistically, then I have to build it realistically. So we're going to call this the 1, 2, 3 project week total text. I use the word text to remind me that this is a text piece. Now, what I have to do in Axure is I have to go in and name all of these boxes. Now, the first one's got a name, so I'm going to copy paste so I can go a little bit faster. So Tuesday is going to be called project 1, 2 input. So yes, this is a little bit slow, and sometimes some of your prep work in Axure is a little bit slow. And you might say, Deb, why are you doing this now? Because as I design, I like to bring my ideas to life to see if they seem like they're going to be good ideas that really solve the user's problem. And so by being able to bring this to life and use this realistically, I can see, do I think my idea has legs, or do I think I'm going in the wrong direction? So I do take the time to build out the realistic stuff in Axure so that I can play around with it myself and say, you know, this looks like this could be going in the right direction, or wait a minute here. So now that I've given all of these numbers, I've given these names, now I can refer to them in Axure. So I can basically, you know, I should really build a listener here. Heads up, everybody, when I teach listeners, they are not really a beginner thing in Axure. So you are going to see me do some advanced things in Axure, and you're probably going to feel like I can't totally follow this. And I say, yep, take my Axure class, and you will. Sorry, my dog is crying. She doesn't totally love the weather right now, and my boyfriend left, and she's in here stuck with me. Come on, Olivia. You want to be on the show? Does Olivia want to be on Mommy's show? Does Olivia want to be on Mommy's show? Yes? Should we say a quick hello? No. Charlene says, this looks closer to what I had in my previous place. Okay, Charlene, is this good or bad? So I'm going to build in Axure what's called a listener. It's an automatically running process, and I'm going to teach it every fraction of a second, add up these numbers, and put the total over here. And again, you might be saying, Deb, why are you spending so much time on this? Because as I'm creating my concepts, I want to make sure that these are good concepts. Because sure, I mean, look at where I started. We've already taken it off the screen, but where I started wasn't that good. And luckily, between some ideas that I had and some things that you threw in the chat room, we realized it wasn't the right way to go. And so that is my approach to how I build this stuff. So I am going to take the time to build something in Axure that is highly realistic, because I want to keep iterating on my ideas as we go. So in the world of listeners, I need to have an invisible dynamic panel. Now, I haven't done this in Axure 10 yet. I've been avoiding Axure 10 out of fear. So this is my first time building a listener in Axure 10. So let's see how we do. I need an, okay, we have an on-page load. So I can also add a, now you're not going to understand what I'm doing. Don't worry about it. You would have to take my Axure course for this to make sense. Hold on, my TV is about to turn itself off, and that would be bad. This would be next with a wrap. And how often do I want this to run? Let's say every half a second. That's going to feel a little slow for some people, but I'll show you what it looks like. So half a second. And there you go. And let's give this thing a name. I like to call this guy the listener panel. And what else do I need to do? Now I need to build what I want to happen, and that is done over here. On panel state changed. Now let's add our numbers. Set text on the week total. Uh-oh. What's going on?
Everybody escaped.
Everybody escaped.
And it's pouring rain.
And it's pouring rain, so who's in the house?
Nobody.
Just Romeo.
Yeah.
Would you please put on Olivia's day caller and send her after them so we know where they are? Sorry, everybody. Giant dog escape. Put on Olivia's day collar and her vest, please. All right. Where was I? Hi, Romeo. Sorry, very wet dog here. He usually doesn't escape. Okay, so this is Axure stuff. And again, give me a moment to build this really quickly. But I need to say this is text on widget of... Where's all my widgets? Don't they have names? Didn't we give them names? Oh, here they are. Project 1. Okay, let's find them. Project 1, Monday. And we need to make one of these for each of these. So we're going to need 7. And let's do this. So project 1, Monday, and project 1, Tuesday. And again, I'm doing this right now just to teach Axure to add these up so that we can see how this works realistically and see if we like it or not. Yes, I do really take the time to do this, because if I think my own idea is garbage, it's probably garbage, and it's best to know that early. You know, we always talk about pivoting early and iterating early. And to me, that is absolutely part of my process. Now, remember, this might not be what you're going to do in a design challenge. In a design challenge for a job interview, you're probably just going to go as fast as you can to just try to show something and some of your thinking. But here I'm imagining that this isn't a design challenge and we have a real project. Where did my Saturday go? Here it is. Saturday and Sunday. Oop, that is wrong. I'm suffering from slippery mouse today. And so here we go. So here we go. LVAR1 plus LVAR2. I know you might not get what I'm doing. Just know that this is going to make Axure add these numbers if I've built this correctly. Axure lovers, tell me if I'm building this incorrectly. I am now somewhat distracted by the knowledge that my dogs have escaped and are running around town out in the rain. Elton says, I missed the first episode. I'm assuming employees need the logged hours. I was thinking they might need to know the task they worked on. Right. We decided last time that we don't need to know down to the task level, just down to the project level. So let's see if this will work. And let's save, refresh. Okay, so 8, and I worked 4, and I worked 7, and I worked 3, and I worked 2, and I worked 6. Okay, now I've overdone it. I'm in Saturday, but you can see that this is working. And it's really nice and realistic. And that only took me about a minute or two to build, but it gives us a sense of how this would work. Now, you might also say, Deb, I want these centered. This looks terrible. Again, let's worry about pixel perfection later. Right now, I'm just working at the concept level. So we've got our week total. Now, again, you might have some contractors who can't work more than 40 hours a week. I know at many jobs that I've worked at, especially where I was a contractor, and in some cases when I was full-time, you were not supposed to work more than 40 hours a week. We could also build something into here where an error message comes up or a warning message comes up if this week total is higher than 40, and say, this will, you can't enter this, or this requires special managerial approval before it can be paid. Maybe it says something like that. Again, we're just working on guesses and assumptions, and we have to imagine that during our earlier research phase, we have learned this from our conversations with our target audiences. So we could build that as well. Let's see. So what else does this need? It needs a submit button. So clearly at some point, people are going to say, yep, I've entered in all the time I feel like entering today. It could be the day. It could be the whole week. I'm not going to lock people into either one. I'm not going to error them out if they haven't entered in for the whole week. Madalena says, remember that tweet saying if you still work in Axure, you should retire? Well, I'm curious if Figma can do math. No, Figma can't do math. No, siree. So, Romeo, get comfortable. Romeo, go to bed. Hi, Romeo. I would pick you up, but you're soaking wet because you've been running out in the rain. Do you want to be on the show? Let's see if Romeo, I don't think you can pick up Romeo. He's too heavy. Hi, Romeo. You're a good boy. Alrighty, so we need a submit button. So I'm just going to drag, I think I made a button. I made a beautiful button. Not really. Over on our components page. So I've got a primary button here ready to go. Copy paste. And of course, I'm not being pixel perfect right now, but we could imagine that this button goes somewhere on the page that is logical to the user. Maybe it's kind of contextual over here. You go through your stuff, you go through your weeks, and now you're saying, submit, I must have caps lock on. Submit time or whatever. A content strategist or writer is going to come in and make this much better than I've made it. And I am grateful for them. All right, so this is looking, it's getting there. As a concept, I feel pretty good about it. I feel like it matches user needs for simplicity. We did some knowledge design. We removed what projects can I build to by only including the, let's imagine, 2 projects that this person is allowed to build to. We removed the manual labor of having to search for projects, and we removed the knowledge of what's the name of my project and what's the number of my project. Hopefully they will recognize this. Now, if we think that's not enough, then maybe people have to put in a description of the project. But I'm going to hope that, again, assumption, I'm going to hope that the company has given their project a memorable name, even if the number is not memorable. Of course, if we thought that that weren't the case, we might ask people when they're putting in a project to give it a description, and we might have the description show up in text underneath this project name, just a little blurb to help people remember. All right, so what else can we build? We can build, let's see, I could build the error message that says, you've worked too many hours this week. Let's play around with that. So let me make a little fake error message. I don't think I got one ready in my components. Boo, past me, not setting up future me for things. But that's okay. We'll whip it up quickly together. Okay, I'm just going to grab a piece of text here. I'm just going to build it down here and then I'll move it. Working over 40 hours in a week requires manager approval before payment can be processed. Now, this is a crappy error message. And someone would write a better one, but you know, to me, this is just placeholder text. This is just something that we just want to make sure people know about, and someone would write something better and hopefully shorter. That's a little bit on the long side. And I'm going to buy myself a little bit more space. Let's put that here, and I'm going to wangle this a little bit more. Oop, I hit the enter button. Here we go. Okay, and again, to be improved by someone who's a better UX writer, you know, because if this is the width of our page, we're a little bit out of space. That means we probably need to tighten these up a bit. So let's do that. Again, not pixel perfect, but let's come up with some way of bringing these together, being smarter with space, and cleaning this up. So let's see, the first one was at, now I'm going to look at my coordinates. Axure says this one's at x225, so I can put this one at x, let's say 295, so they're all going to be 70 apart. So that would be 365, and this would be 435. I'm just adding 70s. And again, someone might say, these are too close together, I don't like it. You know, that's fine. If you want to, if a visual designer wants to do that, or they're going more by a grid, whatever, I am not, you know, worrying about pixel perfect right now. I'm focusing more on my concept, knowing that hypothetically later we could pixel perfect this pupper if we needed to. So let's see, 575, and finally 645. And again, I just did that by deciding I was going to make each of these 70 apart. That allows me to take this, slide it over, and buy some time, space for our new error message. So let's say this one is over here, and let's say this message ends up over here. Let's just stretch it out a little bit so that it's on 3 lines. And let's see, line it up. And I also want to put an icon. Remember, you never want to just error message through color. You want to make sure that for people who might be colorblind, that you're not expecting them to just see red stuff, that you want them to see an icon. So just to build this a little bit quickly and without my I can make a quick global style. Axure does global styles. So I can say that we have error text. And error text is going to be font size 13, font color red, and I can come back later and also put my icon red. So I made a style. Now we apply the style, error text. Here we go. And now let's grab from Axure's icons library. Let's search for, I wonder, what's it called? Triangle. Here we go. Exclamation triangle. Now again, a visual designer might have a predefined icon that is a better choice than this. I am just trying to build the intention of this. I am not trying to say that this is the final visual design or anything like that. I'm just showing you how I might approach this. Let's put this pupper over here. Hi, Romeo. If you follow my dogs on Instagram, then you are familiar with Romeo. He is in the house. Ralitza says, hey, just passing by before dinner. Cool. Charlene says, are we showing how many working hours in a whole month and then how many entered there hours left? I don't think so. I think that's going to be something that we show to the other people. Remember, we have 3 audiences who have to use this. The worker bees are putting in their time. The project managers are putting in the project information and the time estimates. And then the project managers and the senior managers are going to compare the estimates to the reality, probably in a dashboard or visualization, to see where this is a mess. So in Axure, if I want to have this error message show and hide based on certain conditions, I don't use grouping. I put them in a dynamic panel. I am a serial ungrouper for those of you who make groups in Axure. So I'm going to call this project 1 error message panel, because it's a dynamic panel. Now, by default, you would not see this. So we're going to click the eyeball to hide it. The yellow line around it says, by default, people can't see this. In older versions of Axure, this was a total yellow box. In Axure 10, this is, see, now it's a yellow box. Now we have to teach Axure, when do we show and hide this box? Now, we should show this box if this number is greater than 40, and we should hide the box if the number is less than or equal to 40. That means we have to teach Axure 2 things, when to show it and when to hide it. So I am going to go back to our listener. It lives here. I know you don't know why. Sorry about that. But I am just trying to move a little bit quickly. Ralitza says, one problem I'm remembering is this should be region and country tailored, rationale, holidays and events. Apology if that's been covered before. Yeah, so we are just imagining a timekeeping system for people that's going to measure their entered time against project estimated time. And we're going to have an assumption here that the project manager that estimated the time accounted for holidays or people's leave. So again, we're just going to, otherwise we're going to be building this for a year, 1 week at a, 1 hour per week at a time. So we're just going to make that an assumption. Now I need to, where's my box here? Okay, so I need a condition. So this is just if true, and now I need a new condition. Again, I'm not explaining this to y'all. I know it doesn't make sense. Just go with me for now. If hours, if project 1 hours greater than 40, and so that's my case here. So what should happen? We should show the error message. So we're going to show the error message. Let's give it a sexy fade in. Fade. And then we need to build what happens if project 1 hours is less than or equal to 40. And I forgot to write the condition on this. So let's build the actions and then we'll build the condition. Show hide, error message, hide, and I don't think I need a sexy fade out. We'll just make it go away. So, oh, that rain is so hard out there. I hope we don't get killed. Hope we don't stop the thing. Okay, we need to ask Axure to take a look at a number. So, hey, Axure, is the number on our, value, enter value, where's my project? No, where's, oh, Axure, stop changing stuff. Value of text on widget, sorry. Okay, so hey, Axure, go take a look at my project 1 week total text. Is it greater than 40? Then do the thing. Solomon says, essentially triggering events based on conditions. In this context, you'd have to tell the system what to look at and what criteria to validate. Right, we're assuming, again, this is an assumption, that this validates against a 40-hour week. Hypothetically, you might have a part-time worker and it validates against a 20-hour week or a 25-hour week. We're assuming that the system would know how many hours a week this person works and would validate against the right number. So I'm just playing with it as 40, just for practice. I've got a toggle if else. Those of you who know Axure well will know why. Those of you who don't have no idea what I'm doing, but again, I'm just trying to bring this to life quickly. Now, where's my conditions? Can you hear the rain, y'all? I really hope we make it to the end of this stream. I will build this and then we will wrap up and we will continue again soon. Please check the links. We've got deltacx.com/links. There is a calendar of events. I will get more of these in the calendar. Remember, we need less than or equals to 40. Do not accidentally write less than, because then at the number 40, you will be sad. All right. If text is greater than 40, show the error message. If text is less than or equal to 40, hide the message. Let's give this a try. Ralitza says, what if overtime is approved? Yeah, exactly. So because I'm trying to build something relatively simply, Ralitza, we just put in, let's say I say 8, and then I go 8, and I go 8, and I go 8, and I go 8, and I go 8. There we go. So Ralitza, just for simplicity, we've decided we're not going to deny people this or stop them from filling this out. We're just going to tell them that if they have really worked more than their normal hours, that their payment, maybe the message will say their payment will be delayed, or it has to get manager approval. We have to make sure people understand that this could happen, and that would be the case. Solomon says they'll get paid more, only if the manager approves that. And because Axure is going to continue calculating the number and comparing it to our conditions, if I go, oh, wait a minute, I didn't work 8 hours on Sunday, it'll go back to 40 and the error message will disappear. Notice it didn't have the sexy fade out. I've got a sexy fade in, but I don't have a sexy fade out. That's just my decisions as a prototyper, and I can do it differently. So you can see that we're starting to bring this design to life. It's got a little bit of basic functionality. Shiroko says, whoa, Axure is great. Yeah, I mean, this is what we were able to build in an hour, and it's starting to feel realistic. We could hypothetically take this to a product manager and say, here's what we're working on. We could take it to engineering and say, hey, does your system understand who's assigned to what project and how many hours per week they're capped at? No. Get working on that, engineers. Let's make sure that the system is going to be able to have that relational database where it can understand that. Now, remember, we didn't build the interface yet for the project manager who's going to put in the project estimates. That piece is going to have to be continued. I'm going to have to wrap up for today. But you can start to see what we've designed. So what else do we still have to design? Well, we might want to design the enter by times worked, which would look different than this. And we eventually have to design the other interfaces that the other target users would see for their experience. So remember, this is the worker bee interface. We also have the project manager interface who puts in the projects and their estimates. And then we might have someone who needs to see the data visualizations or some sort of report on, are we meeting, beating, exceeding our estimates. Siroko, thanks for the stream. Ciao, everyone. Yep, so I'm going to wrap this up, and I'm going to say thanks so much for everybody to join. I'm also going to load this prototype up to Axure. So if you want to play around with the web version of it, you are welcome to. There's no password on it. And you can just visit the prototype here at xmi9z, letter Z, number 4.axshare, axshare.com. This will give you the published prototype that I have over in my browser. So that would give you this version, and you can play around with it a little bit. Now, you won't have access to the Axure file where you would actually change the functionality, but you would be able to play with the published prototype. And over here, you can jump to the different pages that we've been working on. And there you go. Aitan says, do you usually sketch on paper before creating a prototype? I do not. Many people do. I just find that if I start drawing on the page, I mean, look at what I already undid. I would have to erase that. I would have to cross it out. I would have to throw the paper away. That's, yeah, I've killed trees. So basically, I am that weirdo who goes right into Axure and just starts making stuff. And then I start to go, you know, what do I want to do here? Okay, and then I say, now how do we bring this to life a little bit and start doing that kind of walkthrough and say, okay, I'm the user. I need to put in my time. I want the least steps possible. Put my cursor in the first box. Make the tab key go to the next box, which we didn't do yet, etc. Charlene says, I'm a paper and pencil person, and that's totally fine. I would never tell anybody that you shouldn't sketch first. Sketching first is extremely common and looked upon highly. I am that weirdo who feels like I am not, remember, I don't come from an art or visual design background, so I'm usually not someone who says, I have an idea and takes out a pen or a pencil or something like that. I'm the person who says, I have an idea and I just jump into Axure. Now, I've also been using Axure for nearly 11 years. So it has really just become an extension of me. Like, I know how to speak its language, as you can see from the speed at which I got some slightly advanced things working. Hello, Romeo. Thank you for shaking. But, you know, that's the point that I'm up to. And if you'd like to join my Axure course, remember you can get to there from deltacx.com under training. We're doing December is my core skills workshop, though the math and the listener are really in the advanced skills class. So you would have to take both if you really want to be able to build what I built today. You'd be able to build most of this after core skills, but not the math and probably not the listener. So just so you can have an expectation of that. Solomon says, whiteboard and marker, walk around, think, draw on the board. I10 says, if you do Axure Beginner, I'll join. Axure Beginner will be December 11 and 12. Everybody, drop on by. That you can just sign up on the website. Again, you can go to the deltacx.com website, go to training, go to rapid Axure prototyping, and there's a register button there. The core skills aims to take people from, I've never seen Axure before, I have no idea what I'm doing, up to comfortable intermediate. And then advanced course assumes you've done core skills and you're comfortable with those skills. And now you're going to learn some of the more advanced things like listeners and math and repeaters and some other stuff. I thought you meant core advanced. No, I've got core skills, which are for beginners, and intermediate and advanced skills, which assume you know the core skills. So to me, core skills are the skills that you can't live without. Because let's face it, even if we didn't have the repeater, even if we didn't have the listener here and the math wasn't real, we could still come up with a good design. And then we just might have to go to someone else to prototype that or something like that. Or some people do their prototypes with code, but I would still go here first. So so let's switch back over to me. Hi. Ooh, a little dark-eyed today. Sorry, we had a stressful day. Drama. Hi, Romeo. And Romeo is standing at my side. He is sad that he's the only one who didn't escape. So I'm going to go try to, I hope our dogs come home soon. It's pouring rain out. They're going to be super wet. And I'm sure we'll take some pictures. I said, did anyone say drama? Yeah, we had some drama today. I'll make sure to get pictures of wet dogs up on the pet Instagram, which if anybody would like to follow that, you can. It's Canetti Perfetti is the name of our Instagram for dogs. So I had originally planned for our next one to be in December. I will check our schedule and see if we can add more of these in. Eventually, I was going to do these every other Monday, but I'm starting to feel like this could be an every Monday. What do you think, Charlene? You originally said every other Monday. Now you might be thinking every Monday. So, but I do have a vacation coming up, and some of you will be busy for the holidays. So at the very least for 2022, we'll try to do a lot more of these. Charlene says, every Monday. Yeah, originally everyone's like, I do it every other week. Now it's, let's do it every week. Every day. Okay, that's a bit much. I10 says, I think this is becoming my second favorite stream after Friday Reaction. Well, you like Friday Reaction because it's high drama. So, okay, so I'll try to schedule more of these, but just know that because of holidays and a little vacation I'm taking, we might not have too many of them through the rest of 2021. But if you're watching in the future, hello in the future, we'll try to do these every Monday in 2022. All right, I'm gonna play us out of here. Everybody be well and be safe. I'm doing office hours tomorrow, but 10 in the morning Italy time, not the usual 6:30 p.m. Italy time, because I am taking an evening course all this week. That also means there will be no streams Wednesday and Thursday, and the Friday reaction stream has been shifted, I think, to 4:30 p.m. Italy time on Friday to accommodate my course. And Friday, we're picking up our camper van. I'm very excited. So anyway, if you're in our Slack channel, which you can find a link to it here at deltacx.com/links, join our Slack workspace. It's totally free. I would love to get your opinions on these first two Think Out Loud streams and let me know how they could be better. Is there anything I'm doing that is not helpful, that is working against the idea of teaching by showing? Let me know. I want to always improve. I want the constructive criticism. So be well, be safe. Hope some of you are feeling better. And I will catch everybody tomorrow. Customer centricity as business intelligence. Visit deltacx.com to learn why we are